Hey guys, hope you are doing well. Wanted to share an update on just some things that we are working on. So I'm not going to go into a crazy exhaustive version, but this will be a little bit longer of a video because I got some good stuff to share. So I want to let you know what Rewired's been working on your behalf to try and find if there's any good solutions out there to help get us open sooner rather than later. So let me say a few things up front. I think the decisions we made for essentially November, December were the right ones of saying, hey, we're going to stay open 4 extra days. We're going to get Hero Weekend. We're going to keep morale high. We know that this was an unexpected shutdown. We're going to be compliant, but we are going to stretch it just a few days. And we essentially got us to Thanksgiving. We're going to say, hey, we don't think December 16th is going to be the day that we get to come back as a gym, which unfortunately we did predict that one correctly. We think it'll be at least January. So giving people the option to pay what they want to pay, rent what they want to rent, participate in, workouts on the studio, all that good stuff. Although that's not necessarily anyone's preferred decision, I do think the decision we made has been received well. I think members responding to, hey, thanks for letting me, pick my own rate and rent some equipment. And, although it sucks, I wish the gym was open. I think it was smart. So I go to bed at night thinking that I think I made the right decision for that one. I feel confident in that. Not an easy one, but the right one. So here's what I've been working on recently. I feel like I've talked to more gym owners in the last month than I have maybe in the last decade. So I want to go through just a gamut of things that we've looked into. Has Rewired looked into the wellness center route? Yes. And let me just give some brief bullet points. It's not bulletproof. I've spoken to, I think, 10 gyms that have gone that route. One of which I think is a genius idea. I'll throw this out there, North Park. I think it's smart. I think it's a good reposition for their brand. Props to them. I hope everything goes well with it. Most gyms that I've talked to so far are really, really trying to take that approach, though, where they're just trying to find a loophole to get open. Okay. And what has been very disconcerting is that the gyms in the Tri-Cities, which were the ones that first started looking into that, because Tri-Cities, if you don't know, had like spring and summer, they were in like phase 1.5 and their gyms weren't really allowed to be open. And a bunch of them started to have to, like, dude, we're going to go under if we don't open. And because they got hit so much harder, I think they were first to try and look for other loopholes. And one chain of gyms in particular that found the wellness center route, and it's not bulletproof by any means. The state won't give clarity on this is exactly what constitutes as a wellness center, and you got to have these things in line. And as long as you do, you're good. The state won't give that, which is really disheartening. There is a different classification code. You can file with the Secretary of State and do a DBA. And like we've done it when we rebranded from CrossFit Rewired to Rewired Fitness Co. I learned all about that. We have multiple DBAs, but it still is not bulletproof. And unfortunately, as of the end of last week, a bunch of gyms in Central Washington that went that route started getting fines. Guy that owns 5 different locations got slapped with fines last Friday. And if all 5 of his get it, that's $50,000 in fines, which is super disconcerting and really, really unfortunate. And the dude wasn't trying to be negligent. He wasn't trying to be defiant. He was trying to play within the rules. And that's really unfortunate. So, there's a lot of gyms that are trying to rush to that route. A couple things, I think that raises red flags, to be perfectly honest, for the state to say, like, we're going to start cracking down on gyms and saying, no, you're not a wellness center. I think gyms that are trying that, man, I'd say more power to them. I think if that aligns with your brand and your mission, what you're trying to do, great. But if it doesn't, red tape can get messy. So with us, I've looked into what that would take. It's not bulletproof. It's still at risk. You're still not technically insured. There's some big risks there. But at the end of the day, I don't see Rewired as a wellness center. And that's really the big thing with me. I feel like that's, to be integrous in who we really are. I want to make sure if we ever are going to make a shift in business that it lines up with our DNA and our values. In the wellness center route, although I believe what we do enhances wellness, we're not really a wellness center. So that was one that I basically took off the table. And unfortunately, the state starting to slap fines on places did that kind of help confirm that decision for me after the fact. Some other things we've looked into: education centers, community centers, and look at what we do. And I'm like, I could see that working, and the state won't give clarity on what that looks like to really be classified that way. Looked into what gyms are doing that are trying to pull that card. There's some big holes. The one that I have looked into, that I have not found a gym that has done this yet, but one that I'm not going to give myself credit, but yeah, I came up with it. Becoming a mental health and wellness clinic. This one honestly has some teeth to it, of saying we're going to file a DBA with the state. We're through the Secretary of State. We're also going to classify Rewired mental health and well-being or whatever, and we bring on a licensed mental health and wellness specialist, or mental health and behavior specialist, who owns her own business, and we've already talked to her, and she's like, I'm 1,000% on board. Love that. We've have all of our members fill out a mental health sheet, maybe every quarter, every 6 months, whatever, and she goes through them and says, okay, if there's anybody in here that's like, I think is really struggling with some stuff, needs to talk to a professional, she would contact them and say, hey, if you need to talk to somebody, here's some references. But also for everybody that goes through that list, hey, because of these uncertain times, you should work out. And not just to like have that be smoke and mirrors, but like, I legitimately believe that. And I think if you're at Rewired, the chances of you probably believing that is true. Like, exercise and what we do is super, super important for your mental health and well-being in any year, but holy crap, is it even more true in 2020? Dude, when this amount of unemployment and job loss and financial strain and family strain and kids not being in school and small businesses closing left and right, and the overall just stress of a political season and everything, right? Like, people are stressed. And one of the big concerns is like, man, if the gyms don't open, like, our mental health is going to be even further at risk. And I feel that. So I don't have a messiah complex about what our gym is, but I will stand and say and fight for the fact that what we do and what gyms like us do is help keep people's mental health in check. Exercise is the greatest freaking medicine on the planet. And I will blow that torch till I die, because I really do believe that. So that one I've looked into pretty extensively. I think it's going to get kind of one of those routes of the wellness center route, or the education or community center route. I think where the state's going to say like, no, you're still a gym and L&I's coming for you. So it's not entirely off the table, but as I started looking into that and realizing like a lot of these are leading to closed doors and dead ends, I started talking with other gym owners in town that are very similar to us in our model and probably our timeline of how we've handled things, that are being compliant right now. Like, we are being compliant, and just having conversations. And essentially what it's led to is this, which I feel like is some good news. I had a Zoom call with 6 other gym owners today that are all fairly similar to us in the Spokane or Spokane Valley area, and all run similar type of classes to us, and just saying, hey, let's get our heads together, and between our 6 gyms and the amount of people that we know and the types of people that we know, let's get protocols in place. Let's get a letter drafted in place. Let's get our ducks in a row, because when January 4th rolls around and Inslee extends it even further, we want to be able to say, hey, we sat down with the mayor or local city commissioners or local city council. We sat down with medical boards. We sat down with mental health specialists. And not that any of those people would sign off on what we're doing, but to be able to say, like, we've sat down and showed them what we want to do and why we believe that we should be open, and why we believe fitness is essential, and why we want to be part of the solution to help getting people in this economy back, and being able to have that conversation, if anything, at least to further that ball and make sure that our voice is heard for the other gym owners and the other fitness enthusiasts in town, but also to say, like, we didn't just open out of defiance. We're at least trying to have these conversations. We know that the mayor's not going to come to us and say, absolutely, and I'll get on the news and back you up. Like, that's not going to happen, and I don't blame her for that. But at least to say we've had these conversations with the right people. We aren't just opening because we're rushing it. We're not just being negligent. We're trying to do every step we can take to say that, hey, we're going to make a very calculated decision. We're going to have good protocols. We're going to keep people safe. We're going to have caps on classes. We're going to move forward. But, like, we got to get fitness back. That's where we're at. So that's in motion. I had a great Zoom call with those guys today. I get to be on Speak Studios podcast on Wednesday, where part of what we get to talk about is that. We're working on getting those letters drafted and having those conversations all before Christmas. When does that mean we're going to open? I don't know. I don't want to put a specific date on it yet. There's two things that I really want to know, one of which we'll know really soon, and the other one we'll know probably before Christmas. First one is, this is not a political statement whatsoever, but it is an observation, is this: what ends up getting decided to be passed for federal funding, which we'll know middle of this week, as far as, is there PPP funds? Is unemployment getting worked out a certain way? Are stimulus checks coming? Are state funding coming? Like, all of those things that the Fed is essentially working on right now. And if they don't decide, they all lose their jobs. So I feel like it's very likely that they're going to make a decision. And there's a lot of pressure for a lot of different people on that decision. But that decision does help paint a little bit more of a clear picture of, I would predict, what Inslee's response will be into when we get to open up. If there's a bunch of funding coming, does that mean that Inslee says, well, a bunch of funding's coming, so we're going to stay closed longer? I don't know. If there's no funding coming, does that mean that Inslee's response is, well, crap, we got to get these businesses back open so we can get some money pumped back into the system? I don't know, maybe. But at least it'll help give, hopefully, a little more clarity onto the overall situation. So I'm waiting for that. And as you know, that'll get voted on. That's like Wednesday or Thursday or whatever of this week. Another one is having those conversations with local city politics, as well as, medical board, and people like that, and just saying, hey, is there anything we're missing? Are you like, yep, absolutely, go ahead. They're not that they're legally going to sign off on us doing it, but at least as they look at it, and we can get smarter eyes than ours looking at what we want to do. I think there's strength in numbers that way. I think it's a smart move for us. I'm getting to a point where my wick's getting ready to burn out. I have been patient. I've got a very long wick. I want to keep you guys safe and protected. But I absolutely 100% believe that what we do is essential. And I think we can operate in a way that's safe and smart and keeps people healthy and fit, but moving forward. So there's an update, lengthy one at that, but I hope you guys just appreciate being kept in the loop. Comments, questions, concerns, hit me up. Love you guys. And I hope you're having the best possible Christmas season that you can. Stay fit, stay healthy. Love you.